I invariably hear one constant droning on narrative from those older than us that Gen Z is destroying America, right? These horrible, lazy, entitled, socialist, apathetic crybabies.
Gen Z is not just a bunch of idiots with blue hair and just a bunch of just deranged alcoholics. Like, there's a lot that's good about Gen Z.
I think it's handing the megaphone to our generation and allowing us to make that meaningful change that desperately needs to come from a new generation of ideas and leadership.
I've been saying for a long time, like, you are very much one of the pioneers of doing what I do.
So I sat my parents down and I said, I don't think I want to go to medical school anymore. And they said, that's okay. What else do you think you might want to do? No, they've always been very supportive, until I said, I think I want to make videos on the internet for a living. And there was a moment of slight hesitation. My mom kind of giggled and my dad said, well, sweetie, if you can figure out a way to pay for it, then we are all supportive of you.
So my guest today is often the youngest person in the room, but still an OG. And now we can call her a 2-time Amazon bestseller. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Isabel Brown.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be back in the PragerU studio and on set with you. I think this is the first time we've done something in person, which is crazy.
Yes, we love having you here. Everybody was so excited when they learned that you were coming today. And like, we have different even channels of security. You're in the security VIP. I'm like, yes.
Thank you. I go way back with PragerU, but
well, I'm so proud of you. First and foremost, let's look at this book, The End of the Alphabet. Make sure you guys go and get a copy. It is flying off the shelves, even virtually on Amazon, and we love to see it. And we're going to get, of course, way more into this book in just a minute here, but I actually have a gift for you as a congratulations for the success of your book.
Oh my gosh, this is such a surprise. What? You guys?
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
Oh my God, you did not. Okay, Xavier, you've outdone yourself. This smoothie is what, like $18 per smoothie? I tried it last time I was here. And I thought to myself, I cannot go to Southern California and not go try Xavier's favorite smoothie.
I tell people it's not overrated.
No, it's actually amazing. I was a little hesitant to order it because I'm thinking, who wants to spend $25 on one smoothie? It was pretty good. I'm not going to lie. If they all tasted like this, I'd be a happy camper.
Yeah, this is by far the best flavor, and I love that it like actually makes a difference with your skin, makes your skin like look so just radiant and glowing the next day. And this is not an ad for Air One. I am not sponsored. Everybody thinks I am.
You would fool everybody. You probably are the best spokesperson for this thing.
Honestly.
It should be called Your Smoothie, to be honest, at this point.
I would love that. I so badly want that partnership, but you know what, Air One, if you ever reach out to me, I'm ready. Booking Xavier at gmail.com.
This is the best gift you could have possibly gotten me. Thank you.
Cheers. Or
to you.
In Israel, we say l'chaim.
L'chaim, everybody.
So before all the success, when exactly did you start doing everything? Because I learned today that back in 2019, you were on the cover of Newsweek. So you've been killing it for a very long time.
Thank you. You know, I never anticipated that this would be remotely anything in my career. I actually was pre-med in college, and my dream was to be a trauma surgeon. I loved the intricacy of science and how it tied into the pursuit of objective truth, and I wanted to pursue that as a career. But sadly, like most people in our generation, found out really, really quickly that the pursuit of objective truth really wasn't a part of my curriculum on campus and really isn't a virtue in higher education at all anymore. Out of necessity, because there were very few people willing to challenge the narrative on my large, very leftist public college campus. I found myself on the front lines of the culture war for student activism and trying to bring some ideological diversity to my campus. Very much glossing over that story, but I wrote the first book that I wrote about my college experience and really fell in love with activism. I fell in love with everything as simple as setting up a rickety folding table in the middle of campus and handing somebody a socialism sucks button, all the way to hosting speakers like Dennis, who came to speak on our campus in 2019. And he brought 1,200 students out from all across the university who were just hungry for dialogue, hungry for a change of perspective. And I knew I wanted to participate in that in some way, shape, or form after graduation, and wanted to do that where Gen Z was spending all of our time. And that happened to be the digital space, because that is our modern public square. So I sat my parents down and I said, I don't think I want to go to medical school anymore. And they said, that's okay. what else do you think
They
you
didn't
might
freak
want to
out?
do? No, they've always been very supportive until I said, I think I want to make videos on the internet for a living. And there was a moment of slight hesitation. My mom kind of giggled and my dad said, well, sweetie, if you can figure out a way to pay for it, then we are all supportive of you. And God has just taken my career in such an unexpected, really incredible direction in the last few years. My very first job right out of college was right here at PragerU and learned everything I possibly could about content creation. That picture on the cover of Newsweek magazine from the 2020 election was actually taken in the old PragerU kitchen, believe it or not, of all places, like the most random place, because we had to do a last minute photo shoot for that. And it's just crazy to me to see not just the opportunities that I've had as an individual person, but watching what's happened with other content creators in our generation to reach tens of millions of people every day. It seems like there's a new kid on the block literally every single week. And I love seeing that because for millennials, I feel like there was a big gatekeeping effort kind of in the content creation and podcasting space in particular. There was a lot of, I feel threatened if somebody else is coming into the movement 100%. And we have to keep this really small. But what I love about people our age is we would love if every single person became a content creator, because this truly is a war, a cultural war over a battle of ideas and values and concepts that made Western civilization great and will continue to do so. And we need as many voices in the fight as possible.
Amen, amen, amen. I just love the way God is using you and just transforming so many people's lives and perspectives. And you are so right, because, you know, I really do give you your flowers behind the scenes. Like I've been saying for a long time, like you are very much one of the pioneers of doing what I do, like being a Gen Z creator. And I know Gen Z is getting old. I am the second week of Gen Z. I got a couple gray hairs growing in. but no, seriously, like you have paved the way. You have largely put the groundwork of showing like, hey, Gen Z is not just a bunch of idiots with blue hair and just a bunch of just deranged alcoholics. Like there's a lot that's good about Gen Z. And I think I discovered you like right around I started making content. You were one of the people where I was like, okay, this girl is killing it. And I loved how you were calling Gen Z to action, but also being like, we're not all crazy. Yeah. Put some respect on our names. And now you have a book, The End of the Alphabet, where you're highlighting that so much more. So please tell me all about your book and what you want the audience to know.
You literally just sold my book for me perfectly with that elevator pitch, because that's exactly what it is. I wrote The End of the Alphabet really stemming from a place of frustration over the last several years, because I've been a bit of a token voice for Gen Z in media and in politics. I've worked in Washington. I've been on the cover of big magazines talking about presidential candidates. Obviously get called a lot to get on Fox News or Newsmax or print and radio media to represent the voice of Gen Z. And really over the last 5 years or so, I invariably hear one constant droning on narrative from those older than us that Gen Z is destroying America, right? These horrible, lazy, entitled, socialist, apathetic crybabies have no idea what made the West great, have no idea how to build a future that's better than the one we have, and are the root cause of gender theory and critical race theory and all of the crazy ideas that are plaguing our society. And yet I knew that that wasn't true doing the work that I did on college campuses, both as a student and afterwards. I certainly knew that wasn't true in the digital activism work that I'm doing, engaging with tens of millions of other Gen Zers all over the world. And I wanted to create an opportunity for dialogue about who Gen Z really is, while also encouraging our generation to step up to the plate for leadership. I've been traveling the country the last several weeks, going coast to coast to coast and doing all kinds of media and speaking engagements. And maybe the most surprising thing people hear related to this book is that, surprisingly, Gen Z is proving ourselves to be the most conservative generation America has seen since World War II. And we're really doing that because we're embracing a cultural and lifestyle attitude change that is a punk rock rebellion against modern culture, just like every young generation wants to do, right? Every young group of people wants to rebel against the people who came before them, but it just so happens to be punk rock and countercultural today is to be conservative. So what do I mean by that? 93% of our generation still wants to get married in a time that we have the lowest marriage rate in American history. We are throwing away our hormonal birth control from across the political spectrum, realizing that Big Pharma has ingrained themselves into our daily lives and really is causing us to take slow release poison every day. And we don't want to feel like that anymore. So much so, by the way, that the Washington Post just had an absolute meltdown the other day, blaming this exodus from birth control on right-wing influencer propaganda on the internet. But that's happening so largely in culture that the media is freaking out. We're realizing we don't need to spend $250,000 to get a degree in underwater LGBTQ plus basket weaving to get a job because instead we'd rather do something more meaningful with our time, right? So instead, 62% of us have already started our own businesses. We're believing in God in greater numbers year over year, which nobody anticipated. By the end of 2021, less than 25% of our generation remotely said we believed in a higher power. But by the end of 2023, just a few months ago, over 1/3 of us say that we do, and we're regularly seeking out religious services attendance. We're asking big questions about something bigger than ourselves and seeking a little bit more meaning and purpose in our lives. That's also starting to manifest politically, which I think people are surprised to hear. But 17-year-old boys, for example, are over 70% politically conservative, the most they have been in 50 years, largely as a metaphorical middle finger to what's happening culturally with the authoritarian left taking over society. And I have no doubt young women will follow as well.
100%. I just need to, all of that just makes me so happy to hear, because I feel like I have been defending Gen Z with my life, and I'm going to be pointing so many people to your book to recognize all the great things that our generation is doing. Because what I think a lot of it comes down to, and I just posted this on my story of just like one of the lessons I've learned about 2024 so long, is that when people already have this disposition of not liking you or your group or your faith or your nation, they will create this narrative and put it on you because it may have a little bit of truth to some people in that demographic. And what too many people try to do is you spend all your time, effort, and energy trying to fight these claims and say who you're not, when really the energy should be focused on showcasing who you are. And with Gen Z, I feel like that's what we're doing. So many people have written us off as the woke generation, the problematic generation, the generation that can't read, the generation that only wants to be on their phone all the time. But it's like they're not looking at what we're actually doing with our phones and the research that a lot of us are doing and the way just our culture is shifting. Like I even went to a party in Hollywood a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago. And when I was there, I told people, I'm like, I'm not going to drink. I literally just want to socialize and see some of my friends. And when I tell you there was no line at the bar, and I was shocked. And it's like all just like influencers in the TikTok space. And like nobody was really drinking. Everybody just wanted to socialize. And everyone who I talked to was like, oh yeah, I'm doing a 75 hard challenge. Everyone was saying that. And I'm like, it's kind of like Gen Z is over.
Like getting our crap together. That's amazing.
And everybody's on the same page. We're all leaving at 11:30 at the latest. Like everybody wanted a good night's sleep on a Friday night. And I was just like, I wish people saw this side of what we're doing. We want marriage again. We want these values again. And it is because we're being countercultural. We see what's not working with the prior generation, and we are stepping up the way that these generations say they want us to, but they're almost not giving us the room to. They're not listening to us.
You know, a seat at the table is everything. And for whatever reason in American culture and politics, we've created this narrative really within our lifetime that you have to put in your time and do the hard work as a young person to prove that you're willing and able and experienced enough to actually make a difference. Especially inside of Washington, there's this expectation that you do your time in the grunt work positions and you work your way up the ladder the exact same way a corporate ladder structure works. And chances of you really making a tangible difference as a young person on the political right are pretty substantially low because the people that are pulling all of the levers of power and influence and money are very, very holier than thou talk down to young people as to say, we've been doing this a whole lot longer than you, kid, which is frankly why half of Congress has been in Washington, D.C. longer than twice the time we've been alive, which is incredibly problematic. Insane that we've just accepted that reality that you have to be ancient in order to actually make a meaningful difference in running the policies of our country. But that's not the story of America at all. A seat at the table for young people is the bare minimum, but really young, patriotic, punk rock, countercultural individuals speaking truth to power is the foundation of our country. On July 4th, 1776, our founding fathers were not these ancient, shriveled old men that our textbooks would like for you to believe that they are. They were 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. I never learned that.
I had to clarify that.
They were wearing white wigs. I know. We see in the images and the paintings in Washington, D.C., but I never knew that. Nobody ever told me that. And the more that I've started to research the origins of our country and just the impact of young people throughout all of human history. Think about the greatest emperors and kings that ever lived. Typically, they were teenagers or young adults. The apostles in following Jesus were young, ragtag 20-something-year-olds who were considered uneducated or unable to make a difference in society because of their low stature. Everybody looked down upon them. Mary was a teenager when she agreed to have Jesus, and King David, when he was young, was just a child when he took down Goliath, right? You can look through all of biblical history, all of political history, all of human history, and there's this constant story of young people standing up to fight for the future for both themselves and everyone who comes after us, that those older than them are, for whatever reason, unwilling to fight for. It's even the basis of all of our favorite fictional stories, right? Every single one of the TV shows, book series, movies that we binge over and over and over again. The Hunger Games, Star Wars, The Lord of the Rings, like literally everything that we love to consume. Even more modernly, Stranger Things or The Last of Us. All of it involves this corruption of consolidation of power by those older than us, usually in the government, and a ragtag group of kids who are bold and courageous enough to be countercultural, to fight for liberty, to fight for freedom, and to share that with other people who come after them. And yet we still don't seem to get it, that our country relies on that same story in real life today, just as it did 250 years ago. It's desperately time for a 1776 moment in 2024. A seat at the table is important, absolutely. And I think that's so important as a call to action in my book and beyond for the 2024 election. But I think it's even more than that. I think it's handing the megaphone to our generation and allowing us to make that meaningful change that desperately needs to come from a new generation of ideas and leadership. What we've watched happen in American politics in particular is exactly what our founding fathers laid their life down to fight against. It's this consolidation of power from people who refuse to share it with others and give it over to the next generation. If you're a fan of Hamilton the musical, to teach people how to say goodbye, right? We are unable to do that today. And you're watching these people literally return to Washington for longer than twice the time we've been alive. And they insist every 2, 4, 6 years, we are the only people that can solve this problem, even though we've had 70 years to try to fix it on our end before. But just trust us this time, we'll make sure that it all gets resolved. It's just really crazy stuff.
It is. You know, we're in a crazy world just in general. And something I love that you do is you showcase so much of the good of what we're all doing and not just constantly honing in on the bad. Because something that someone said to me that has really stuck with me is they told me, they're like, you know, you're the only reason why I even know who Dylan Mulvaney is.
Wow.
And I was like, interesting. And they're like, yeah, it wouldn't have been in my algorithm. It wouldn't have been in my feed if you weren't reacting to them. And they weren't like coming at me sideways. Yeah. They were just letting me know, like, I feel like conservatives are unintentionally constantly promoting these bad ideas to the point that that's all you see when you're online. And, you know, I feel like you do a good job of finding the balance, because it's better to be informed of what's in the world than to be uninformed. And you do a great balance of showcasing, like, these are what the crazy people are doing that we need to be aware of. But also, here's the great things that we're doing and the progress that we're making. And you should be at least a little more optimistic about the future, because Gen Z, we've got it down.
You know, I love that we're talking about this because it's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. I read a fascinating Instagram post from a podcaster that I really love following, who basically explained this manufactured outrage cycle that I think we're seeing a lot of in conservative media right now. Some account with 10 followers on TikTok will post about peeing in a litter box in a 5th grade school, right? And a gigantic podcaster with millions upon millions of followers will choose that random clip with 8 views to react to on their channel. They'll blow it up and they'll say, this is what the entire left-wing movement in America is trying to institute right now in your child's classroom. And sometimes that's true, but more often than not, it's a pretty gross exaggeration of what the video actually said. But then, because that reaction garners 20, 30, 40, 50 million views, the left then has to double down on that behavior and say, yeah, we do want kids to pee in litter boxes in every single classroom because we have to be different from you. We're fighting all the time. We have to be on opposite sides of all these things all the time. And really, who did that serve? Nobody. It more normalized those crazy ideas beyond anything because you got more attention on them. And that's not to say you should never engage with the other side. You absolutely should. I'm the queen of that. I do reaction videos of those videos all the time. But I always try to create a different spin on the end than saying, our country's doomed. This is so crazy. These people are trying to destroy your life every single day. I try to create an opportunity to speak to those people directly because I've found on campus and digitally, more often than not, those people saying crazy leftist things on the internet don't have a single person in their life, not one, who is willing to confront them with a different idea by speaking the truth in love, by saying, I care about you. I see that you're hurting. I see that you're having all kinds of crazy stuff going on in your life. Let's think of a better solution for you together. Here's why this idea or this pathway or this value might be more beneficial to your life moving forward. Dylan Mulvaney is a great example of that. I have no ill will towards that particular individual.
Right.
I'm really frustrated by the societal impact that a lot of that content has made over the last several months, but even that's starting to backfire, right? This last Days of Girlhood video garnered millions of response videos that I'm watching on TikTok from pro-leftist, pro-trans, pro-LGBTQ members of our generation saying, I was supportive of this until now. And now I start to have a problem with it. And now I'm watching this video and Dylan, I think you're like not okay. So Are you okay? Can we help you? There's something really fundamentally broken here. It's an opportunity for people's eyes to awaken to just how horrifying a lot of these lies are. It's not just something to make fun of or own the libs on Instagram, on Twitter, or on TikTok. It's a broken reality for our generation. And I'm optimistic and hopeful how much we're realizing just how broken it is and why we need to speak up about it.
100%. And, it's that approach that you take to it that I can attribute, or that I say that you should attribute a lot of your success to, is people see you doing that and they see you trying to heal the world rather than just trying to cause constant division of the left and the right, where it's like, we here and there, we need to put out that olive branch and be like, are you okay?
Are you good,
like
family?
Dylan Mulvaney, are you okay? Blink twice. We'll pray for you. Isabel, thank you so much for your time today. And again, everybody, make sure you get this amazing Amazon bestseller, The End of the Alphabet by Isabel Brown.
Thank you.